After using my Cam Vac dust extractor for a couple of years in my woodworking shop, I finally decided it was time to deal with the issue of the noise and build a dedicated whisper box or baffle box to reduce that. The best part of this project, it only cost me $16 out of pocket because I already had on hand scraps of wood and some leftover pieces of 4-inch sewer and drain pipe left over from my original dust collection installation. So my only expense really was buying some of this acoustic foam tiles off Amazon. I'm going to walk you through the step-by-step design and assembly, and I'm going to explain the two benefits. Number one was the sound reduction, and number two was reducing the high frequency noise, which made it much more pleasant. And lastly, I'm going to show you a real-world before and after sound test. This video was inspired by an article I read on the internet by Vegard Jordal Hardbo from Edney, Norway, and I'll have a link to his original article in my video description. So my dust extractor pulls in dust from here, and then it exhausts it from up to 3 different motors, here, here, and here. And these come with little caps that supposedly reduce the noise. I'm not sure if they really do. But what really helps is when you take one of these extension hoses and put on all 3. And in this case, I save one hose by using the wand when I'm not using it. And the sound coming through those hoses tends to reduce the noise a little bit. So my whisper box is going to hang on the wall. The hose is going to come inside those lined PVC pipes, and then it'll exhaust out here. You definitely don't want these things flopping around on the floor because that exhaust air will just blow up any dust on the floor and just circulate it throughout your shop. This is my kind of flat work project because it's going to use all scraps that I have in the shop, and it's not real precise. It doesn't have to look beautiful, but basically I'm going to make a box, and it's going to be somewhere close to 9 inches across and somewhere 30 plus inches. In the middle of this box, I'm going to have 3 pieces of sewer and drain, 4-inch, something like that. It's going to go up through the middle, and they're going to extend out the bottom some kind of way, however they look. Not real good at drawing. And they're going to end somewhere right about here. I'm going to have an opening here of maybe 3 inches, and the pipes are going to stop back in here somewhere, sticking up. The pipes are going to be lined with acoustical tile, and the hoses are just going to get stuck up in there, like this. And then the acoustical tile inside those 3 PVC pipes are going to muffle the sound, and I'm going to have a top on it, and it's going to have a piece of acoustical tile here. The box is going to be sealed on the back, front, sides, except for this opening that where the exhaust is going to come out, and it's going to hang on the wall. So for the back, so it'll be strong and hang up, and I have a scrap. I'm going to use 3/4 MDF. For the front, I'm going to use, I think, 1/2-inch MDF because I have these scraps. I don't have nice plywood for that. And on the sides, I'm going to use some thin, very thin plywood just to give it a little bit of stability. It doesn't have to be real strong, and like I say, it doesn't have to be pretty. Let's get started. I forgot to hit record on these 2 side panels, but I cut them to the appropriate size. Now, I'm going to go ahead and prepare for a future enhancement where I'm going to exhaust this outside. So I'm going to do that by adding a piece of this hose to go through the wall. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the hole. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that line, give myself about a 1/2 inch spacing at the top. And I'll cut this with my jigsaw. Alright, let's see how close we got. I can always caulk it or sand it out. Okay, that's close enough. I can put some caulk something in there. hold it, which is construction cement, which is going to be needed. So my box is coming together. I just need to cut a top. I'll do that next.
So I cut a top out of MDF to match the dimensions of my box.
So I've assembled this box to hold these 3 pieces of sewer and drain pipe that I had on hand. I had 3 of them about 2 feet long. If they'd been 3 feet long, they'd probably been better. I bought these acoustical tile off Amazon. There are 12 of them for about 16 bucks, or about $1.25 a piece. It's more than I'm going to need. I experimented a little bit with trimming them, and I found out that if I just cut just 1/2 of one bit here, they will roll up and touch each other and seal pretty well. You don't need to glue them in or anything. There's enough friction. When you get these acoustical tiles, they come compressed, and you have to let them sit for a while, or as this particular one suggested, put them in the dryer for about 5 minutes, and then they would fully expand. So I'm real happy with the way they look. It's going to take about 2 of these for each hose pipe, and they just fit in there snugly. Get the other end of the pipe, yep, and so on until I get them all filled. When I lifted my box, the old contraption slid out, so I'm putting a little stop here at the bottom, and I'll just drill a hole with a little scrap of plywood. Okay, that'll keep it from sliding out. Now it's time to hang it. I'm mounting this with a French cleat, which I've already mounted, so I'm going to put a little block of wood at the bottom at the same height so it won't cantilever. So let me drill a couple more holes. Okay, 2 that'll be plenty. So I took one of the exhaust pipes, cut it in half so I would have 2 of these to run 2 motors. Now the problem is, even with this acoustical tile in there, it's only 1 inch thick, so it only reduces the diameter inside to about 3 inches. This is about 2 inches, so I need to pad it a little bit. So I found some foam around, some packing foam I had, and so I'm just going to wrap this around and make it a little bit thicker. Maybe use electrical tape to fasten it down. Whoever uses electrical tape anymore? Alright, let's hang this thing up. Okay, so we're going to take our whisper box and with its French cleat, we're just going to slip it on. Makes it real easy with this one to support it. Now the challenge is to see if these hoses that I've padded will have enough friction, or if I got to come up with a more permanent solution. Or should I say a more elegant solution, but you know, I think this will work. I don't want to take it up too far or it'll lose some of its capacity. Oh yeah, that'll work just fine. Let's do the sound test now. 20 decibels without any talking, up to about 56 decibels with me talking. Now let's run it without any hoses connected, 2 motors. Somewhere around 72 to 73. I'm measuring this from 6 feet away. Sound with the hoses mounted. Hoses mounted to the whisper box.
Well, by using the exhaust hoses, we reduced the sound level by 6 decibels, and then adding the whisper box, we reduced it another 6 decibels.
And it's also going to include a difference of reducing that high frequency sound to a lower rumble kind of sound, which is much more pleasant to our ears. Reducing the volume in decibels is only half the battle. Changing that pitch or frequency of the sound is just as important for our comfort. A whisper box helps by absorbing high frequencies and letting only lower frequencies escape. Human ears are highly sensitive to mid and high frequency, which is where the harsh whistling sound of a vacuum motor lies. High frequencies feel piercing and can cause psychological fatigue much sooner. Lower frequencies, like a deep, low rumble, feel much less harsh to our ears at the same volume level. By shifting the noise profile down to lower frequency, the sound transitions from an irritating screaming vacuum into a dull, modified thrum. Lower frequencies have longer wavelengths, and while they are actually harder to completely block out with thin walls, turning what a sharp, high-pitched whine into a low bass note makes the shop environment drastically more pleasant to stand in for an hour or two. Think of a mosquito buzzing around your ear versus the low rumble of a distant thunderstorm. Even if they were at the same volume, the mosquito's high pitch drives you crazy, while the lower rumble is easy to ignore. This whisper box actually acts like a filter, trapping that piercing, high-pitched motor whine and only letting out the dull, low-frequency hum. I built this with a future shop enhancement in mind. I'm going to mount this in a shed I'm going to have outside my shop. And what I'm going to be able to do in the summertime, I'll just exhaust the air as normal, just like this, coming out here. In the wintertime, I'm going to have a 4-inch hose coming out of the back of this through the wall, and I can just cap it in the summertime and leave this open. But in the wintertime, I can just close this door and uncap it, and that will bring the warm air back into my shop. That'll reduce the heating bill, maybe. If you want to learn more about the dust mask I was using, click on this video and you can save 10% using the affiliate marketing link in that video. Learn more about the Cam Vac dust collection system, check out this video. And if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up to give it a boost for other like-minded woodturners. Your comments and feedback are important to me, so leave them in the comments below. And remember, y'all stay safe, not only with your lungs, but also your hearing. Y'all come back, you hear?